Welcome, everybody, to the second ever edition of the Hoosier Life on the Assembly Call. It's a beautiful summer day for me, Josh. It looks to be not too bad for you. We're here to talk everything. We had big news in the Hoosier world yesterday with Blackman returning, and then the day before, Troy Williams officially declaring for the NBA draft. So we'll talk that. We'll talk NBA playoffs. We've got another top five segment. It went well last time. We're going to keep it going. We've got a full show for you guys today. Josh, how you doing? Are you ready?
Oh, I'm definitely ready. I mean, I'm also feeling great. The Mariners are 10 games over 500, so we're all good over here in Seattle.
It's a beautiful day, and the Cubs found their bats. It appears after a couple-day hiatus, despite a rough outing from Arrieta yesterday, something we don't see very often. But the Cubs bats are back. The Mariners are 10 games above 500. It's all good vibes here. James Blackman's coming back. There's nothing to frown about. It's all smiles on the Hoosier Life today. Let's get right into it. Actually, two big pieces of news coming out of Bloomington yesterday. Obviously, like we just said, James Blackman. But the other day we had the announcement that UNC would be coming to Bloomington to play the Hoosiers in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Josh, let's give our initial thoughts on this. What do you think? Do you like the matchup? Are you going to go after tickets? What do you think Bloomington's going to be like? Is this a good matchup, bad matchup? What do you think? Let's see what you think.
I mean, first off, I really like them coming into Assembly Hall. I'm glad we finally have a home game this year. I know it just rotates, but it's Bloomington's going to be popping. I mean, IU lost them in the Sweet 16. UNC lost probably their two best players in Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson, and now it's sort of a new look North Carolina team against a Hoosier team that really only lost Williams and Farrell. And then you're going to add in OG Anunoby, who's going to be in the starting lineup most likely, and then Thomas Bryant's back as a sophomore. So, I mean, this is, I think, a great matchup, a good chance for revenge. And I think Thomas Bryant just posted something on his Instagram with a screenshot of the matchup, and he said it was something to the effect of like we're ready or something, or bring it on or something. So I think he's ready. I think the whole program is excited, and it's going to be a crazy night over there on November 30th.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild Wednesday for sure. Dickie V may be in the house. We got a phone ringing over here. So, Josh, I'll have you just, maybe fill some time while that rings. But, no, we got Dickie V in the house, perhaps. Fingers crossed he came for Iowa last year. That was a great game. But, Josh, let me ask you this. Obviously, we know what happened last year with the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Would you rather have seen Duke come into Assembly Hall next year for a little rematch? Grayson Allen, not the most loved guy, I would say, in the college basketball world. Would you rather see Duke come into Assembly Hall, or are you very okay with this matchup against the Tar Heels?
No, I'm okay with the Tar Heels, because Duke, I feel like, was just that was almost the turning point in the season for Indiana. That was their low of the season, and then from there it only got better. So I'm okay with not seeing Duke. North Carolina is fresh in our memories. We lost them in the tournament. We both won our respective conferences, so it's two conference champions going up against each other. I think this is a solid matchup, and it should be fun.
I agree. It's a great matchup, and obviously, like you said, Johnson and Page gone for North Carolina. While I would have loved to see that matchup against Duke, give them a little payback from what they gave us last year, I'm okay with this matchup because North Carolina obviously ended the Hoosier season. Although that game, there were some good vibes coming after that game. It was the final game of a very, very remarkable and memorable season as a whole for IU. And maybe that can be a stepping stone this year. If they beat North Carolina in November, who knows what this team's potential could be. Let's talk about that for a second. What is this team's ceiling now, Josh, with James Blackman Jr. coming back? Do we think that this is, again, a Sweet 16 team? Is this a team that's going to be looking at probably like a 7 seed like they were 2 years ago? Or could they go even further with all this depth?
This team's kind of interesting because they have a lot of good playmakers, but I don't know if they have that true leader that they had in Yogi Ferrell yesterday. I tweeted out yesterday, I think it was Chris Goff of the Journal-Gazette up there in Fort Wayne, I believe. He tweeted something out about he just tweeted out the projected starting five of Robert Johnson, James Blackman, OG Anunoby, Colin Hartman, and Thomas Bryant. And I looked at that group and I'm like, oh, that's great. That's five solid players. But who's the true leader of that bunch? I mean, you might have Robert Johnson as the, I guess, point guard. He could be slotted in at the one spot next year. Or is it going to be James Blackman Jr. stepping up? Or is it going to be Thomas Bryant, who is just a source of energy? Or is it going to be Colin Hartman? So I think it's kind of hard to tell where their ceiling is at without kind of knowing the ins and outs of this roster quite yet. I mean, I guess we have a basic outline, but I could see them getting into the Sweet 16 for sure again, and who knows, maybe even farther. It just kind of depends on how everything plays out. But I would say at least Sweet 16, and why not shoot for even more than that, because this team has a bunch of good playmakers, but I do just question that leadership going into next year.
I'm with you there. That's obviously going to be the main concern for the Hoosiers going forward, but I'm the type of person that likes to believe in a team and believe that team can be successful, can succeed without a leader going in. You know, obviously, if you look at the NBA, you got guys Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant leading the Thunder, Steph Curry on the Warriors, LeBron in Cleveland. So obviously, each team is going to have a leader, but who is that leader going to be for the Hoosiers? Right now, we don't know. But from what I saw this year, and then looking forward, when Robert Johnson played the point last year, and it wasn't that often, but when he did handle the ball and bring it up, he looked fine. He was not at the level of Yogi Ferrell. He was not, he couldn't score at will, but he looked fine playing point guard. And obviously no one on this team is capable of filling the shoes that Yogi left behind. And Josh Newkirk is definitely going to spend some time at the point guard. Let's not forget him. We got to give him a little name drop. But whoever plays the point guard, whether it's Robert Johnson, whether it's Josh Newkirk, whether they split time, this team is going to be in good hands. They still have weapons. They're going to have weapons coming off the bench, and they have weapons everywhere in the starting lineup. OG, we're all expecting is going to be able to score next year. Thomas Bryant may be the leader of this team. We know Blackman can score. Robert Johnson can knock down an open three, every open three, really. Colin Hartman can knock down an open three, and he even cut to the hoop last time. He found some inside scoring ability. So this team has offensive weapons. My main concern for them is more of on the defensive side of the game than a leader, because teams can succeed without a proven leader. Obviously, there is a ceiling for that, but a leader will emerge eventually, and I think it's going to be Thomas Bryant. But defensively, James Blackman was a liability last year, and Troy Williams wasn't the best either, but James Blackman was a liability. So maybe he learned that, when Robert Johnson took his spot last year in the starting lineup, what he did to improve this team defensively, learn from that and go forward. If he can, great. I see this team definitely with Sweet 16 potential, possibly Elite Eight given the matchup, but there's a lot of potential for this team. A lot of question marks, but they've got some matchups early and a big test in North Carolina in late November to kind of fill those holes and figure out where they want to go from there. But I do love the potential of this team. I could absolutely see another Sweet 16 run.
Yeah, no, there is no doubt that a Sweet 16 is definitely in the cards next year. But what I really like about this schedule going in, we start off with Kansas. I think that's the first game. I think we play them at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. And then we got North Carolina, and then we play Butler, and then we play Louisville. So that is, Louisville. I got to say that correctly. I get corrected a lot back in the Midwest. But this is going to be a great non-conference schedule that's going to test this Hoosiers team really early. And you're going to need to find a leader right off the bat. And whether that's Thomas Bryant, whether that's Colin Hartman, doesn't need to stay the same throughout the entire season. You can have a different leader each game if you really want. But this Hoosiers team is going to be tested. It's not going to be like last season where you played at Maui and you lost the first game, which means you played two lesser teams, and one of which you lost that game to UNLV. No, you're going to get tested right off the bat, and that's going to really be good for this Hoosiers team going into the Big Ten. And I think that's going to prove pretty big come tournament time when you're facing that top level opponent once again. So early on, this Hoosiers team is going to need to be clicking because they're playing good teams.
Yeah, this team is going to be tested early and often. Like you said, there's a couple of big-time matchups out of conference that pretty much every other team in the country is not going to have unless you're a Kansas or a Duke or a North Carolina of the world. But Indiana has those matchups, and it's both good and bad because you can't expect them to win every single one of those. Like I said, there are going to be some holes to fill. But you can expect them to compete, and they're going to be great learning experiences. Again, rather than playing a UNLV and losing. Would you rather take a loss to UNLV or Kansas if we're thinking worst case scenario? So odds are they're not going to win every one of those games. They'll win a couple. They'll win some. They may win most, but they're not going to win all of them. They're going to have to lose, learn, and move forward, which is what they did last year. And that's what kind of gave their that team their identity, was losing and learning from that. And it was a joy to watch, and we'll see where they go this year. There's a lot of talking that can be done about that, and obviously we're going to keep previewing this team as the summer goes on. But we're going to do that piece by piece. So right now we're going to move on to the NBA playoffs. And who would have saw this coming? The Warriors are on the brink of elimination. They could be 12 hours away from being eliminated, and the NBA Finals are not even set. You know, the Cavaliers took care of business last night, but right now we're going to talk about the Warriors. Josh, what is going on with the Warriors? Because when I'm watching them play, they're getting their shots. You know, they're cutting. Curry's got these open looks. Klay Thompson has these open looks. Draymond Green has open looks. The shots aren't falling. I don't see a lot of intensity. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, or do you see something different?
No, I gotta agree with you on that, because they're getting all these open shots. They're just not hitting them, and that's what I was saying. Or I don't think I said it on here, but I was just talking with people and say if they have a couple game stretch where they're not hitting their shots, this team is doomed, because they live and die by the three, and right now they're dying by the three. And up here in Seattle, we're not very happy that the Thunder are taking it to the Warriors right now, because we think this should be our team. But that aside, they're getting their butts handed to them. They have not seen a team as physical as the Thunder, and they're just not matching that physicality right now, and that's going to cost them. And if they don't show up tonight, they're going to be out of there, and all this best team ever talk is out the window. I think it's already out the window since they're down 3-1. But I mean, losing by 40, and it's just not going well. I have no idea. I didn't expect this to happen whatsoever. I was thinking it could be 3-1 Warriors, not 3-1 Thunder. But the Warriors just have to match that physicality of the Thunder, because they just don't have it right now. And you just got to bring it each night, and tonight they just got to bring it, or else they're done.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think they are done tonight. I think they don't win. I think the Thunder take this in 5. But what stuck out to me is Russell Westbrook is on a whole nother level. He's in the zone right now, and when Russell Westbrook is in the zone, I think he is as effective as every or any other player in the entire NBA. I think he's as effective as LeBron James. He'll go out and get a triple-double on any given night when he's in that zone. We saw it last year, and we're seeing it again now. And it's the scariest thing when you've got a guy like Russell Westbrook in the zone that he's in right now, capable of putting up numbers better than everyone in the league and better than anyone that we've seen in years. And then beside him, you've got Steven Adams playing well, Serge Ibaka knocking down his threes, Andre Robertson knocking down his threes, and another guy by the name of Kevin Durant who won MVP not too long ago. Right now, to me, the Thunder are the favorite to win the title. I think they end this series tonight by double digits. I think it's 112-102 Thunder. Russell Westbrook, 30 points maybe. Kevin Durant just behind him. I think the Thunder win this. I think they win the NBA title. And I never thought I would say that going into this year with Billy Donovan taking over in his first year. More credit needs to be given to him, because no one's really saying much. All this talk is, why are the Warriors struggling? Billy Donovan is out coaching everyone. The Thunder are outplaying everyone, and much credit to Billy Donovan. So, Josh, I've got the Thunder by 10 tonight. Who do you have?
Well, I mean, Vegas has the Warriors by, I believe, 7. I think that's the spread off the top of my head, which is incredible. I was thinking maybe Thunder by 7, but it is at home, and I just feel like the Warriors are not going to bow out like this. I feel like they'll at least get this to 7 games. I truly believe that. But then once you get to Game 7, anything can happen. I don't know. Maybe they can get the series back to OKC. Maybe they can try to steal one there again. But I don't know. This is really tough, because I hate to pick the Thunder. It's just against me. But I probably got to say the Thunder in 6. I do think the Warriors pull out a win tonight. They're at home. They got to get back on track. But when they go back to OKC, I just don't see how they can pull out a win. They just have not played well whatsoever. And just for that, I got to say Thunder in 6. I do think the Warriors are going to win tonight, though.
It should be good, and I'll be glued to my couch watching it, no doubt about it. But, I mean, if they can't stop Russell Westbrook, I don't care how many threes Steph Curry hits. I don't care that they're at home. No one on Golden State, not named Klay Thompson, is playing well. And he's really the only guy. I think he scored 17 straight for Golden State the other night in the third quarter to bring them back into single digits, but then it was over again. I've got the Thunder tonight. Josh has the Warriors tonight. We both have the Thunder winning the series. And this next series is this series over now?
I think you broke up. I couldn't quite hear you.
Is Cleveland this series now over?
I mean, just because the home team in this series has won, I mean, they've won every game. It's been the home team, but I do think going back down to Toronto, Cleveland kind of got that out of their system. They had 2 bad games. I don't even think they're bad games, but they did lose both of them. But I just think LeBron James is going to take this game over. Whether it's him, whether it's Kevin Love, whether it's Kyrie Irving, one of those 3 is going to get the job done. And just DeMar DeRozan can't do it all by himself every single game. And so I would say Cavs are going to get this done in 6 games come Friday night.
I'm with you. I think that we'll be set by tomorrow night. Obviously, wins tonight. Cleveland wins tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But LeBron, he's locked in. When he sees a series clinching game, he turns into a different man, and his teams win almost every single time. So we'll see. And Kevin Love too. You mentioned Kevin Love. I just want to say this real quick. They're going towards Kevin Love for not making his open shots and kind of disappearing. And be Kevin Love right now, because once he went to Cleveland, once he arrived in Cleveland, they kind of transformed him into a shooter. And he was a double-double machine when he was up in Minnesota. But now he's a lot less of that. He's more of a shooter. Tristan Thompson gets most of the rebounds, and they don't really use him in the post as much as they'd like. They use him around the arc and for 2-point jumpers. So when Kevin Love's not hitting his shots, he's getting a lot of hate, and deservedly so, because when you live and die off the jump shot, when you used to be a guy that's a double-double machine, you're going to get hate. But last night, Kevin Love was making shots. And I don't know if he finished their leading scorer, because I, along with probably 99% of the country, turned it off once it turned into a 40-point game. But he was the leading scorer for most of that game, and he was hitting his shots. And that's what's going to have to happen for Cleveland if they want to contend in the NBA Finals, if they were to make it there. But most people would presume that is going to be the case. The factor for Cleveland going forward is going to be Kevin Love. You agree with me? You disagree with me? What do you think there? I just want to get this debate in real quick.
I mean, Kevin Love is interesting because, I mean, they didn't have him last year and they still made the finals. Now, come this year, I mean, he's been there for most time, but I don't remember which game it was, either last game or the game before. He was just a non-factor whatsoever. I think this is more of if you're not looking at LeBron James, I think this is more Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has got to do his thing. He can take over a game whenever he wants to. It's just kind of him and LeBron James, just kind of who's kind of a power struggle there. But I mean, at the same time, when this team is clicking, they are clicking like they were against the Hawks or back in the first round. But I mean, I do think Kevin Love is a big part of this team, because like we've seen, you kind of need a big 3, and Kevin Love is that last part of that big 3. So it'll be interesting to see what he can bring to the table. But I still think this Cavs team is well on the way to the finals right now.
Absolutely. I just don't think Toronto's got enough. But, once those finals are set, we're going to have to meet. We're going to have to talk about what it's going to take, to beat whatever team it is that makes it out of the East and the West. Obviously, there are 2 favorites right now, but it's the playoffs. It's May. It's late in the basketball season. Anything can happen. We'll see. So that's going to lead us into our third segment, our second to last one. It's our what to watch for, very brief. We've talked about it before. Warriors Thunder tonight at 8 Eastern. What else needs to be said? Thunder can clinch, eliminate the Warriors. I expect Golden State to bring it, but I think they lose. And then NHL, Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, the best 2 words in sports. Game 7, Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. Winner punches a ticket to the Stanley Cup Final to face the Sharks, who finished off the Blues last night 4-2 out of the West. So we got San Jose, and the winner of tonight, Tampa and Pittsburgh. Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals. I believe that game's at 8 as well. Be sure to tune in for both of those. We've got some big time stakes on the line there for both teams. Actually can punch a ticket to the championship in both sports. So, Josh, it went well last week. Our top 5 segment, we had some fun with it. We talked about it, the best places to eat in Bloomington. We changed it up a little this time. We're going off the beaten trail. We're going away from Bloomington. We're just talking very, very generic top 5 favorite sports movies. This one took me some time, and I had to make some cuts. I had a rough draft of a list, and then I cut a couple, and then I rearranged it. It was a process. It was a process for me, and it was tough to pick, tough to narrow it down to 5. How did it go for you?
Oh, this is so tough because I mean you can't narrow this down to just 5 movies, and there's some that I haven't even watched probably that could make the top 5, but I don't know. This was a tough list because there are so many good sports movies, but I think I got a pretty solid list.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with mine too. Do you want to do the same thing we did last week? We each give our 5, or you want to alternate?
Uh, let's just alternate this time. We'll kind of go back and forth, see what we each think.
No, we'll change it up a little bit this week. All right, I'll go 5. I have to. I was flipping between these two forever. I said last week I can't make cuts. I'm gonna have an honorable mention almost every week. I have one this week. I flipped this movie around with my 5 forever. My honorable mention is Breaking Away. It's a movie about the Little 500. I saw it actually for the first time Little 5 week. I've seen it again since. It's a fantastic movie. If you went to IU, if you're going to IU, if you've been to IU, watch it. I mean, you have to see it. It's a fantastic movie. I hadn't even heard of it till a couple years ago. It won an Academy Award. Fantastic movie about the Little 500, about the Cutters, the local team. It's a great movie, but that just got beat out, and I'm kind of regretting saying this now, having thought about it a little bit more, let it marinate in my head. Number 5 is Radio, football movie, Cuba Gooding Jr. Haven't seen it in a little while, but every single time I watch it, it makes me cry. It brings tears to my eyes. Cuba Gooding Jr. is fabulous in that movie. One of his best performances in my eyes. And I haven't seen a ton of his movies, but the ones I have seen, he's absolutely sensational in it. It's a great movie. It's a tearjerker. You have to be in the mood to watch it. It's not something you can casually flip on like Breaking Away is, but if you can really get invested into it, I highly recommend it. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it's an incredible, incredible story. So that's my number 5, Radio.
All right, that's a solid choice. That actually didn't even come into my radar, but now that I'm thinking about it, that's solid. My honorable mention. I know for some of the people in Indiana, this is going to be tough, but my honorable mention is Rudy, because it didn't quite make the top 5, but I love that movie. It's great. Every time I watch it, I thoroughly enjoy it. But my number 5 is kind of a new one onto the sports movie realm, and that is Moneyball. I'm big into baseball. I'm big into analytics and all of that, and that was kind of the turning point of kind of this new generation of baseball and how we look at prospects and how getting on base is so big. Just get on base basically was what the A's needed to do, and somehow, some way, they figured it out and they made the playoffs. They did lose in the ALDS, but it's just such a great story. It brought that whole community together. And Oakland's a rough community. I mean, that's a tough place, but they brought it together. It's a great movie. Brad Pitt is great in that movie as Billy Bean, and it's one of my favorite movies. I wanted to put it higher, but there's just some other great movies out there. So Moneyball comes in at number 5.
And I'm actually embarrassed to say this. I've actually never seen Moneyball, and I've been trying to get to it for a long time. I don't know what's been holding me back, but I've never actually seen it, and I can't believe I just admitted that on air for people to hear. But I've never seen Moneyball. I'm now making it my goal to see it before the next time we meet. We can open up by talking about it a little bit. But Rudy, I agree with you. It's a good movie. I thought it was overrated. I actually just saw it for the first time last month. I didn't love it, to be honest with you. It's good. It's not great to me. I won't get into it, but just my quick thought there. But Moneyball, I only hear great things. So, if I were to see it, I'm sure I would agree with you 100% there. Number 4 for me, Glory Road. It's a great movie. I'm a sucker for basketball movies. I'd probably take that over a football movie or a baseball movie. But Glory Road's one of the best stories in college basketball history, maybe even in basketball history. It's incredibly well done. It takes you through pretty much this whole season of this Texas Western team, through the Kentucky game and on all that, Iowa, whatever. It's a fantastic movie. It gets you right inside the program and what life was like then. And it's just an incredible story. I think from the 60s, an absolute must watch if you haven't seen it. I would imagine most of you have. It's a fantastic, one of the best basketball movies ever made. And one of my favorite sports movies, obviously number 4 on my list. So Glory Road, number 4, fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. Have not seen it forever, but I will probably watch it soon. I'm overdue for it.
Oh, that's a great choice. That's a great movie. Texas Western, great story right there. But my number 4 gonna go over to baseball and The Natural. Roy Hobbs. I mean, that's just such a great movie. It's just, I actually haven't seen it in a little while, but it just gets me every time because he's injured, he can't really play, and then Roy Hobbs comes out, he's the natural, and now that's kind of just a term people throw out there. Oh, he's the natural or something like that, and that's my number 4. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Just it kind of speaks for itself. It's a great baseball movie, kind of gets you every time, and I really enjoy it. So The Natural, number 4.
That's another one I haven't seen. I don't think I've heard of that movie in a while, but that seems like my type of movie, so maybe I'll have to check that out. Number 3 for me, still a sports movie, not as much a sports movie as the other ones, but still a sports movie, fairly recent, I should say, is The Blind Side, the story of Michael Orr and the Toohey family. My parents read this book before the movie came out, I think just when the book came out, and they were telling me about it, and they gave me the book. I read it, I said, this is incredible, and then the movie came out, and I'm like, oh, this is unbelievable. Sandra Bullock is sensational. I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Michael Orr, but he's incredible. That story is amazing. You got Lou Holtz is in the movie, Nick Saban, Phil Fulmer, all those guys. It's a great story, a great movie, and the book is just as good. So The Blind Side, number 3, and after I read you my first 2, you'll know why it didn't get 2 or 1. But that is one of my all-time favorite movies, is The Blind Side.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That's a tearjerker, all right. That'll get you right there. But my number 3, I'm gonna go all the way back a little bit. I'm gonna go with Miracle. I mean, that movie right there, it's a long one. You got to dedicate yourself to sitting down and watching that one. But in the end, it is so worthwhile. It just makes you feel so great to be an American. You beat Russia or the Soviets, and I mean, all those Herb Brooks quotes are just so fantastic. Those stick in your head, and you'll never forget that. That's a all-time great movie about the U.S. winning gold back at the Olympics and in Lake Placid. That movie right there is a great movie. It's kind of off the beaten path. It's not baseball, it's not basketball, it's not football. It's hockey, and I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world, but I really enjoyed that movie. It's a good one. So Miracle at number 3 for me.
Yeah, that's a fantastic movie, and conveniently enough, that's my number 2. So that was a perfect segue transition right there, Josh. So great work, but yeah, like you said, and it is off the beaten trail, and it's hockey, it's not baseball, it's not football, it's not basketball, but the reason that it's one of the top sports movies of all time, that, depending on who you ask, it could go anywhere from 1 to 5. People who watch Miracle love it, and not everyone loves hockey. I'll admit that. Most people know that. It's not the most popular sport in this country, although it is one of the 4 major sports. But the thing about Miracle that gets everyone just so involved and in love with it is just that feeling of being an American. And it's just such a pride thing when you're going through that movie and you get to the end. Even, people like you and I that we're not even close to alive yet to witness that, but our parents were, and grandparents and people that we know, family, friends, whatever, they were, and they said it was just something that they never even thought would be possible. Just a complete miracle, given the name of the movie. And one of the most famous lines uttered in broadcast history, "Do you believe in miracles?" In that movie, in the real story, incredible movie. One of the best stories ever, sports, non-sports. It's mostly in the sports world. It's crazy. It's long, like you said, but just that sense of American pride throughout the whole thing, and in the end, it's a roller coaster, but it is well worth your time. One of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. But going to my number 2, I'm going with the one that most people may think would be number 1. I'm gonna go with Hoosiers at number 2. That movie from beginning to end, it's just so Indiana, and it's just so great. I love that the Pacers adopted that hickory on their jerseys this year on just select nights where they have those. It just kind of brings you back to Indiana, the birthplace of basketball, and it's basketball. It's Indiana, and It's so good. Jimmy Chitwood from not being on the team to bringing them to a state championship. It's just from beginning to end, that movie is fantastic. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody watching this or listening to this has probably seen it before just because of the Indiana aspect. So not going to go on too long about this, but Hoosiers is my number 2.
And nothing else needs to be said. An absolute classic. But my number 1, which is also probably, if not my number 1 favorite movie of all time, it's number 2, is Remember the Titans. I don't know what it is. To me, it's the perfect movie. It's got a great plot. It's about a football team, a high school football team. You know, in terms of the cinematic aspect, the soundtrack is fantastic. The actors are great. Everything about it to me is perfect. You know, I watch this movie for pleasure as often as I possibly can. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It might be my favorite movie ever. The story's unbelievable. Every scene has meaning. It's absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it, right when you're done listening or watching to this, go turn it on. It's on iTunes. It may be on Netflix. I'm not sure. You have to go see this movie if you haven't seen it. It's my favorite movie of all time. Remember the Titans. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's perfect. It's perfectly done. Incredible story, and it'll move you with almost every emotion you have in your body.
No, that is a fantastic movie, but that was only good to make my honorable mention because number 1. My number 1 is my all-time favorite movie, I would say, and that would be Field of Dreams. That movie, every single time, is just so fantastic. I watch that. I try to watch that as much as I can just because I love that movie so much. If you build it, they will come. Just everything about that movie. Kevin Costner is fantastic in that movie. And just all the players coming back. It's just an old-time baseball movie, and it is my all-time favorite movie, and that's why it's got to make my number 1 sports movies. There are so many other good sports movies out there. We could go on for probably a top 10 if we really wanted to, but Field of Dreams coming in at my number 1 all-time favorite movie.
And it goes to show how many great movies there are out there and how open-ended this discussion could be, because we only shared one, I think, on there, and that was Miracle, who most people say is the greatest sports movie of all time. So, I mean, that just goes to show that, and we didn't even have it at the same place on our list. Neither of us had it at number 1. So this is always a great discussion to have. You know, it's not something you can have every night, but every now and then I always have this discussion with people, with my friends, family, whoever. It's, just throw out new movies out there you haven't seen. And if you haven't seen any of these movies on our list, we'll be sure to tweet them, ask us questions about them, throw some suggestions at us. And we're going to get a Hoosier Life Twitter account up and running pretty soon, probably by the middle of next week, start of next week, probably even end of this week. I know Josh and I probably have a little busy weekend with the Memorial Day coming up, family stuff. But we're going to get that going. We'll get it running. It'll be your one stop for everything Bloomington, Hoosiers, sports, whatever. Top 5 movies. Our top 5s will be there each time the show ends. And then it'll just be kind of an epicenter for discussion, if you will. So we're going to get that up and running very soon. Keep an eye out for that. I think Jared and the guys will have that going through the Assembly Call Twitter account. They'll promote it a little bit, so you'll find it right there. But that's about all the time we have for you guys today. We hope you enjoyed it. This was the 2nd episode of the Hoosier Life. Hope we gave you a good dose of everything from IU, Bloomington, to the NBA playoffs, to our top 5. It's been a lot of fun so far interacting with you guys, giving you this show. We're looking forward to more, and stay tuned to the Assembly Call Twitter account and possibly our Twitter account. And we both have them posted right below our names right here for next week or 2 weeks from now show. We just got to figure out schedule, and then we'll get right back to you guys. So thank you for listening. For Josh, I'm Michael. This is the Hoosier Life, and we'll see you guys soon.